You're listening to
the Beer O'Clock.
The Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
It's Beer O'Clock, and this is the Beer O'Clock Show, where every season we invite a bunch of homebrewers in to show us magic tricks. My name is Mark, and joining me is every magician's favourite assistant, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's your favourite episode.
It is my favourite episode, and I'm very excited about the beers that we've got coming up this evening.
Me too. This is our Season 7 Homebrew Special, and joining us are three very fine brewers. We have Oli Watts. Hello, Ollie.
Hello, mate.
We have Ben Vickers. Ben, hello.
Hello.
And Mr. Rich Caller. Hello, Rich.
Good evening.
So we are getting into three beers tonight. Obviously, we have a bitter from Ollie, a salted pineapple wit from Ben, and a Tethys Oat Merlot Old Ale from Rich. So we said last episode that you guys are you're upping the bar even further. So this is going to be a very, very interesting episode indeed. But before we get to that, Stevie.
Mark, you can't see me, but I'm doing my excited face at the moment because I'm really excited about doing these beers tonight.
We're not doing any news tonight. Have we got a hot topic?
Yes, I just thought this would be a good one to do with some guests. So this week's hot topic is it was kind of the thing that hit the news last week, which was that Doom Bar isn't actually brewed in Cornwall. Now, I think there's been enough people that have derided Molson Coors over this. So I didn't want the focus of tonight's hot topic to be about the fact that Doom Bar isn't actually brewed in Cornwall, even though it states it is. It's more about how important is it to consumers to have place of origin and ingredients and those sorts of things on the label. So I'd be quite interested to get the view of the homebrewers on tonight's hot topic. So does anybody want to take a punt at that to start with?
Yeah, if you like. It's interesting to know what's in a beer, but you quite often tell you on the website rather than the label. There's enough information on most beer labels nowadays. The print gets very small and I can't read it after I've been drinking.
What about location of where it's brewed, Rich?
It's good to know where it's from, but it's not absolutely vital. I mean, beer is an industrial product and it's not like wine where the exact vineyard matters.
Yeah.
I think it depends if the brewery that is selling the beer makes a great play about them being from a particular place. And I think that's one of the tricky things about Doom Bar and Sharps is that they make a great play of being Cornish. You know, if it's just a generic beer that doesn't have a claim on a location, I think it matters less. But I think the reason people got so agitated about Doom Bar is that they profess to be Cornish and it's Cornish beer, but actually it's not brewed in Cornwall. I think that's the. But anyway, I think it's important. I think location is important, but it's more important that it tastes good.
Absolutely. I'm actually amazed they've done that because the Cornish people are obviously very proud of their heritage. I mean, if you're from Yorkshire, which I'm from, and you try and get away with something like that and have it brewed in, say, I don't know, Lancashire, then you're going to be in for big trouble. So I think if it says on your bottle it's brewed in a place, it should be brewed there, really, you know.
Because that seems to be an overwhelming view from the panel there, Mark. What about yourselves? What's your view on it, mate?
I like having the ingredients on the bottles because I like knowing what hops are there and stuff. Not that I understand any of that, but I like seeing ingredients. As for where it's brewed, I couldn't really give a shit. I mean, if you had something like Southwold Bitter that was actually brewed in the Netherlands or something, then you'd have to say, well, that's not actually Southwold Bitter. But yeah, I think, like Ben was saying, if something really professes to be from a certain location and isn't from a certain location, then that's a bit of a piss take. But otherwise, I don't really care.
I think, yeah, just to agree with what was said there, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is that the beer has kind of sold itself on being from Cornwall, and it's proud of that on the label, and then it comes out that it's actually brewed in Burton upon Trent, which is obviously sort of like nowhere near Cornwall. So I can understand why consumers might have felt cheated a little bite that. But interested to see what the listeners think. So if you want to get involved, tweet us your views, use the hashtag HotTopic, and share your views on this one.
Cool. Well, that was nice and short, which is perfect because we need to get into this beer.
Yeah, I did tell you I had my excited face on.
Because we got 3 beers, 2 decent sized ones, and one. Is this an extra Duvel bottle or something?
Yeah, I use a lot of Duvel bottles because they don't explode and the Duvel's nice. So.
Yes. we can. Yep. So we are starting off with a beer that on the surface doesn't sound terribly interesting, but I think got all the other brewers in tonight's show a little bit excited at the fact that someone is going to put their hand to a bitter. So, Ollie,
Yes,
this is a classic English session bitter,
that's the plan. Yeah.
brewed with slightly unusual hops.
Yeah.
So, what's unusual about them?
Well, having listened to quite a few episodes, and you guys professing your love for the classic Fuggle,
Oh yeah,
and part of me wanted to see if I could brew something that was really simple, that didn't have lots of hop flavour to hide behind, and I also wanted to see if I could brew something that didn't use the classic sort of combination of British hops, Fuggles and Goldings. And it's no secret that I am a massive fan of Adnams, and wanted to do something that had a little bit of Southwold bitterness to it. I don't think I've quite got there with it, but the intention was there. So the recipe is, I believe, quite similar to Southwold bitter, apart from the hops and the yeast, but the malt's the same.
okay.
Can we open it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Apologies, I've already opened mine and started pouring it while you were talking about it there, Ollie. Because I simply couldn't wait any longer.
I'll be interested to know how it's carbonated for everyone.
It's looking really good, actually. It's come out really
lovely.
nicely in the glass. It's got a nice fizz to it. It's come out of a lovely. I've got a nice solid finger's worth of a head there as well.
And just for you, Ollie, I'm pouring mine in an Adnams glass.
Yeah, me too.
You know, so have I. I've put mine into an Adnams glass tonight because I knew that's kind of where Ollie's inspiration came from for this. It's got a lovely colour to it, though. It's got that lovely sort of dark bronzed colour to it.
So that was the experiment with the malt. So it doesn't have any crystal malt in for colour. It just has brewer's caramel. Because I've never brewed with brewer's caramel before, so. Yeah.
It's just so you know, there will be these silences from time to time. Obviously, we normally edit these out,
That's right.
so don't worry if there's a sudden silence. It's just kind of us gathering our thoughts.
Right. Oh, it is lovely and bubbly, isn't it?
I'm getting a lovely aroma from this. I'm getting kind of big, thick, sort of almost like caramel biscuit coming out of it.
Shall we get into it, guys?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh yeah. Yeah, that works, doesn't it? That's fantastic. That's that lovely sort of malty start, and then it just drifts off into that lovely sort of classic bitter that isn't horribly astringent and anything, but it's just it's sort of really lingering, and there's fruit in there. I'm getting sort of soft fruits, and it's gorgeous. Oh, good brew, man.
Yeah, it's lovely.
A Yorkshireman likes my bitter. That is the peak of achievement.
The ultimate accolade.
There we go. Yeah.
Got some really nice black curranty things in there. It's Bramling Cross, is it?
That'll be the Bramling. Yeah, that'll be the Bramling, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a very light, dry hop as well. Not too much. I think I only put about 50 grams in a 55 litre batch. So just a little bit to give it an extra lift.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's come out all right.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, Ollie, when did you get started in brewing, mate?
Well, I was looking on Time Hop the other day, and it was about 18 months ago. And it's a bit of a weird story because it was Barack Obama that got me into home brewing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Interested
a random,
to see where this one goes.
Yeah, it's a random story. So I was looking on the White House website for work, and I stumbled across their YouTube channel, which had a video on about how they brew in the White House kitchen. And there was just something about it that just clicked. I thought, that looks fantastic, because they've got all sorts of shiny kit. They're making a huge mess, but they end up with beer afterwards. And it just looked, I don't know what it was, it just clicked for me. So I have this habit with hobbies where I tend to go to the absolute sort of extreme with them. So I spent the rest of the afternoon Googling, working out how I could start brewing. And that was about a year or so ago.
Okay.
So,
cool.
yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, absolutely. God bless Barack. But I've actually just started making steps into being able to sell my beer commercially as well, which has been an interesting journey. I don't know if the other two guys have ever looked at doing that, but it's been a lot easier than I thought.
I always think myself as the only home brewer who isn't planning to go pro at some point.
I don't think I'll be going pro. I enjoy my homebrew too much, I think. Yeah.
Well, the beer that we're having now, I've got a couple of stainless steel casks, which I purchased again as a extravagance, but I popped most of the beer in the cask and sampled it with a few people who are sort of local camera types and that sort of thing, and they tried it and said it was good. It didn't have the same sort of carbonation and head that it's got in the bottle, but it came out quite nicely. So yeah, I'll be selling probably the smallest batch of beer of any brewery in the country, which is one firkin at a time, which starts at the end of the month, which is quite cool.
So you're a nano brewery then?
Yeah. What's smaller than nano? Isn't it pico?
Pico.
Yeah.
So the UK's first pico brewery.
Yeah, something like that.
Heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Another exclusive for the Beer O'Clock show. Ollie, just to because I think this is the first time we've had a home brewer on that's actually got to the stage where they've started selling their own beer. Just talk us through the process that you've had to go through to get to that stage.
There's a number of things I had to do. I mean, I had to write to HMRC, Inland Revenue, to tell them I was brewing or planning to brew, and I sent them a plan of my house. I brew in my utility room, which is about 2 meters by 3 meters, so it's really small. I sent them a plan of the house, outlined that area, thinking they'd write back telling me to piss off. I was being ridiculous, but I got a letter back saying the utility room, Watts Co Brewing, my address. So obviously they took me seriously. I got the certificate for that, and then it was a question of getting permission from the water company, which was really easy. I sent them an email and they replied within 2 days. To get all of the chemicals and stuff sent down in the drain, and the local council, who actually have been amazing. You have this impression that councils are going to be really bureaucratic, but actually I spoke to the environmental health people and the trading standards people, who were really interested in what I was doing and actually really helpful, and got rid of all the barriers that I thought would be there. So it's as far as I'm aware, I'm good to go and ready to get started. So it took about a month or so to get it set up.
Okay, so that's going to be Watts Co.
That's Watts Co. Yeah, that's the label on the bottle.
What beers have you got planned?
Well, I've actually got my first batch in the fermenter in the next room to me now, which is a 3.8 session pale ale. I don't want to call it an IPA because it's not really an IPA. It's a session beer. I like session beers because I like drinking lots of beer and I don't like getting too pissed. So yeah, that's and that is hopped with Mosaic and Summit, and that should be quite good. That's bubbling away quite nicely.
Okay, so what other beers have you done in the past?
I've brewed some disastrous ones at the beginning,
I think that's par for the course, isn't it?
which turned out like some kind of substance I don't even know how to describe it. It tasted like pissy vinegar. It was horrible. I brewed a sort of a porter, again, a sort of quite light session porter for Christmas last year, which I was really, really pleased with. And I brewed a pale mild, which was inspired by a beer style called AK, which Martin Cornell's done quite a lot of writing about, which is really cool. It's basically it's like a mild, but it uses pale malts. That was really nice. And a few hoppy pale IPAs, as is normal.
Yeah. And which one have you been most proud of?
The porter, and actually this bitter as well. I'm really pleased with it. When I started it, I thought this is either going to go really well or it's going to taste awful, and actually it tastes a lot better than I thought it would do.
Yeah. Well, this is the style of beer that when I first got into beers, these are the kind that I would gravitate to before Steve pushed me down that dark craft alley. But,
Easy.
and I've never been the same since. But I mean, this is 3.9%. It's just lovely. It goes down really smooth. It's got everything you would expect from a bitter. It's nice light malts coming in, flavors from the hops.
You know, I was listening to the show when you reviewed the Southwell bitter, which is absolutely my favourite beer. I've probably mentioned that. It's my absolute favourite because it's just so simple. And actually, it goes to show how well Adnams brew their beers. You know, they brew a beer that couldn't be simpler if it tried. Stands entirely on the yeast and on the water. It's just a really great style.
Well, I think you've managed to achieve replicating it here, mate, because this is absolutely stunning. This bitter, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It wears its colours very well. The flavour profile is just fantastic. And I've got to say, I am absolutely devastated that I only live 10 miles down the road from you, because it's gonna be really difficult to try and get your beers again in the future.
Well, yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, the inaugural sale of the Watts Co Pale Ale should hopefully be at the Victoria in early July, so I'll let you know when that will be, and we can maybe tempt you and a few other people to come and have a try of it.
Oh, fantastic!
Steve and a few other people. That's your fucking done then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything else you want? Does anyone have anything they want to ask Oli?
I was just going to ask about the flagon malt.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was because I tried a few different pale malt bases. I've tried, Maris. I've tried Tipple, and a lot of them because I brew with a single vessel. So traditional brewers have three or four vessels. They have a hot liquor tank. They have a mash tun. They have a boiler. Because I haven't got enough space for that, I brew with a single vessel. So I have a boiler with a stainless steel insert that acts as the mash tun. It's like brewing a bag, but it's a bit fancier. And what happened with the other pale malts was I got a lot of leftover crap because I couldn't filter the wort out as well as you can if you've got more than one vessel. And actually using this malt for whatever reason has produced less of that crap, less of that trub. So the beer's a bit clearer. Have you brewed with it before?
I've not used it. I've tended to use Optic and Maris.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's a nice base malt, and it comes from Norfolk, which is not. I'm in Essex, so it's not too far away.
Okay, great. Well, shall we move on to our next beer then?
Yes.
That's the plan.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next one is a 4.5% wit, salted pineapple wit. Sounds fancy as anything. So this is Ben's beer. What can you tell us about this beer, Ben?
Well, my mate Stu, who is my boss as well. He runs and owns the North Riding Brew Pub up here in Scarborough, and he's recently went to New Zealand and came back and said he had a salty pineapple wit, and suggested that I brew one. So if your boss says something, you tend to do it. And since I get all my malt, hops, and ingredients and ideas from Stu, that's what I did. So I gave it a go, and this is what we've got.
Okay, well, I've just poured mine out. It came out fizzing. It's a lovely pineapple colour.
There we go.
It smells.
It's a lovely aroma
amazing.
as well.
It smells gorgeous.
Cheers.
It's beautifully clear as well for a wit. It's really.
I was just about to say that. It smells great. It looks absolutely fantastic in the glass.
Yeah.
It's as clear as anything. It's a lovely... it's like a light orange colour, and it's got this beautifully crisp, fizzy head. I'm really looking forward to diving into this one.
Yeah. Right, well, let's not wait. Rich is into his, so let's get going.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh,
that's got loads of pineapple.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh.
that is gorgeous.
That is...
Oh, you get that second wave of pineapple.
It keeps coming.
Yeah.
It's certainly pineapple-y, isn't it? That's for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah. There's more pineapple than salt, which is kind of what I was going for. Luckily.
I think I'd rather more pineapple than salt, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
How
did you salt the pineapple?
Yeah.
I just chopped it up and sprinkled it with sea salt, not too much, and then stuck it in the fermenter. Obviously, after it had finished fermenting. So yeah.
How did you separate? How did you rack off the beer?
Well, I tried to siphon it as we do into a secondary, but that didn't work at all. It just got clogged. So I ended up having to jug this out and run it through muslin. Yeah. So it was quite a horrible experience, really, because obviously going to oxidize it at that point. But I was as careful as I could be.
Doesn't taste like it.
Yeah. So I just had to do it steady with a jug. Really. Yeah.
You wasn't tempted to do it siren style and leave all the fruit lumps in the bottom of it then, no?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be. No,
Steve would have sent you a very sternly worded tweet.
I haven't got the technology up here, unfortunately. So yeah, that was the only way to go with it. Yeah.
It makes for a stunning beer. I mean, like I say, everything about it is just spot on. The colour, the aroma, the flavour. It's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Cheers. Stu, my boss, he ordered a case when I brewed it. So I thought that'll be all right then, because he's quite picky about his beers. So that was a good thing.
Cool. So how did you get into brewing?
Working in the pub. I don't. Have you heard of the North Riding Brew Pub up in Scarborough? Don't know if you guys come across it. Stu Nielsen, who's the guy who runs it, he brews there, and just kind of working there and chatting to him, I just thought I'd give it a go. Of course, I've got somebody there who can tell me where I'm going right and where I'm going wrong. Mm-hmm. And as I say, a massive malt store and a massive hop store to have a go at. And Stu's got an amazing palate. I've taken some of my beers to him and let him try them, and he just says, "Oh, what are you doing this? No, you've done this, and this that's right and wrong." And yeah, so it's a bit like having your own kind of human Google search, really, when it comes to beer. The stuff that he knows about beer and style and everything. So yeah, and he's a really inspirational guy as well. So I got into it through him, really, and yeah, really, it's just kind of working in a pub and being surrounded by beer as well. You kind of thought, I'll give it a go.
Yeah. So how long ago was that you started?
Probably same as Oli, actually. I think brewing in earnest for about 12 months, but about 18 months ago first started, and I think it takes at least sort of, I would say, 5 or 6 brews before you get into how it works for you. I brew in a bag, and just working out what to do next and where things go. It takes at least 5 or 6. So, and I kind of brew to drink. Really, I don't have loads of beer stacked up in the house. I'll just brew some, drink it. Then when I'm running low on that, I'll brew again. So yeah, it was about 5 or 6 brews. So really about a year really, I've been taking it a little bit more seriously. But I don't really take it that seriously because when you, as I say, working in a pub and you're surrounded by really, really good beer, then homebrew is homebrew, and commercial beer is commercial beer, and there is a great difference for me, I think. But the great thing about being a homebrewer is the fact that you can get yourself a load of pineapples and stick them in a fermenter and stuff like that. If you were to try and brew this beer commercially, I used 4 pineapples in 23 litres of beer.
Yeah, that'd be a shit ton of pineapples, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So it costs you maybe about 500 quid in pineapples to do one brew. So it's not commercially viable. So yeah.
So what other beers have you done then?
Successes. I did a kaffir lime leaf and lemongrass wheat, another wheat beer. I like my wheat beers. That was a success. I did a saison, which I was quite surprised at, really, because I'm kind of it's a love-hate thing for me with saisons. It's one of those beers that it's really Marmite. If it's done right, I think it's great. If it's not done really well, then they're a bit boring. I don't know. I've had a few boring saisons, but I managed to do that and nail it, which I'll probably never be able to do again. But hey, there we go. And I think the disasters in homebrew. I think the disasters in homebrew are the ones that you kind of remember the most, because you think, oh God, oh yeah, that's where I went wrong with it. I remember my first beer. Oh, it was awful. It was TCP. It was like this thick, kind of gloopy, sugary horribleness. And Stu took a mouthful and said, yeah. And that was enough for me, it was just a hideous kind of thing. But and I think you learn most from those, or I do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with the saisons. I nailed my first one and have not been able to do it right since.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah, I think I don't know about you guys, but my brewing kind of went up a notch when I got myself my brew fridge, and that's when. When you can control your fermentation, I think that was the best thing I ever did. I managed to,
I went down the route of getting a stainless steel coil so I can cool the beer directly rather than the fridge, because I've not got enough space for a fridge. But it makes a huge difference. You can just taste the difference because the yeast don't get knackered.
Yeah, you're not stressing it. So yeah,
especially at this time of year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but chilling down, I've got an old bit of copper coil with some hosepipe clips on the end of it and stuff like that. It really is Heath Robinson. But trying to cool your beer down in summer, your mains water's coming out about 12 degrees. So it's a long process, and obviously you're sat there looking at it going, quick, chill.
But it may be Heath Robinson, but that is, I mean, if I bought that, I'd be happy with it. I mean, I couldn't distinguish the difference between that as a homebrew or a commercial beer. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's the danger I think with doing beers which have got fruit in or other bits and pieces like that. Is it just you lose the beeriness?
Yeah.
It just tastes. That tastes like a nicely balanced. If I had to imagine what a nicely balanced pineapple beer would taste like, that for me is pretty close.
I definitely wouldn't go for any more pineapples.
No. It reminds me of those pineapple chew sweets.
Yeah.
They used to have in a pick and mix shop.
Yeah.
That was my first thought when I took first taste. It was pineapple opal fruit, and of course they're not called opal fruits anymore. They're Starburst. But I remember when I was a lad, they issued a a limited edition run of tropical flavoured opal fruits, and one of those was pineapple, and that instantly brought back memories of that for me. It was, and it's just spot on. And I think what it just goes to show again, I mean, you know, we're two out of three beers in. This is probably our fifth or so homebrew special now, and every time we say the same thing. The beers that you guys are producing in your kitchens, garages, sheds are mostly better than a lot of commercial beers that you're going to find out there. There have been beers that I've drunk this weekend that don't even go to touch the beers I'm drinking here tonight. So my hat's off to you guys, because I don't have the patience or skill to be able to do this, and I just think what you guys do is brilliant.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Cool.
I love a slightly fruity, slightly wheaty beer, and this is just like Ollie's bitter. It's just it hits all the marks for me so far.
Cheers.
Yeah, I would not be disappointed if I paid money for that at a pub.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
it's really
at
tasty.
all.
But don't get any ideas. I'm not giving you any money.
Podcasters are rich, aren't you?
Oh yeah. So any questions for Ben about his awesome salted pineapple wit?
How much mess do you make when you brew in a bag? Because I want to compare.
It's not too bad, really. It's I've got lots of buckets. Put it that way. It kind of comes out. I mean, it comes out. The malt comes out in the bag, and I stick it in another bucket, and I'll run. You know, I'll quotation marks sparge.
Yep.
Through the bag, as it were, into that bucket, and then you're kind of tipping it back into your pan, into what will now become your kettle. It's not really that messy, but I'm brewing 23 litres. You're 55 today here.
Yeah, well, my kettle can hold 95 litres.
Right.
So I made quite a lot of mess yesterday, but that's because I had a whole load of new kit. I didn't know how it worked, so.
There's beer on the floor.
Yeah, unplugging hoses which have got beer in is not a good idea.
Yeah, of course, yeah, and yeah, you're going to come through all that. Yeah. Oh dear. Do you? Question's gone. When you do you sparge through your? It's an insert, isn't it, that you take out, and then do you sparge through that as well? Do you sort of hook it on?
I do. So yeah. So the sparging to for any people who are listening who aren't nerdy homebrewers like us, sparging is when you rinse the grains with warm liquid or water to run the extra sugars out, so you get as much sugar as you can. Because the early part of the brew is about getting as much sugar as you can out of the malt. So yeah, when I lift my mash tun out of the boiler, I just recirculate the wort over the top of it for 10 minutes or so, very, very slowly, just to run a bit out. And that I found that the efficiency has gone up from sort of 50 to 70%. So I get 70% of all of the possible sugar that I could do out of the malt, which means it's cheaper to brew, and you get a better extraction from the malt. But that's the bit that's messy, because you've got a hose with 70-degree sticky hot liquid flying around in a spinning circle, which can come unclipped quite easily. So.
Oh god, yeah. And is your kettle electric? I take it.
It is, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is, and unfortunately, electricity and sticky hot liquid don't mix.
I've had some nervous times with that combination as well.
Yeah, it's scary. In fact, when I first brewed, I plugged two elements into a extension cable, but didn't unwind the extension cable. Not realizing that I'd created just a great big resistor. So when I unwound the extension cable, the shielding had come off, which was not good.
Right, shall we get on to the next beer?
Yes, because two on a Monday night isn't enough.
No. And just for fun, this is a bit weightier than the previous ones. So the salted pineapple wit was 4.5%, and now we're on to Rich's Tethys Oat Merlot Old Ale, which is 8.2%.
Be a bit careful opening this one. It has Brett in it, so it should be all right.
Oh dear. It wouldn't be a homebrew show without a gusher, would it?
Straight into the glass works.
Oh, that smells lovely.
Oh, wow.
No, and it's gone. I've got the gusher.
Get it in the glass then.
Yeah, I'm getting it. It's in.
Wow,
Oh, that's an amazing aroma.
incredible.
Wow.
I don't dip my own nose in it.
That is. Oh, I just. When you first said what you were going to send us for this show, I have to say I was like, almost fell off my seat. I was like, somebody's brewed that at home. When it came through and I read through the ingredients, I was again just blown away. Now it's in the glass and I'm actually smelling it. It just smells so good. I cannot wait to give this a try. I really can't.
It smells old.
It does.
It is quite old. As in, this was brewed a year and a bit ago.
Wow.
Okay. So while we tuck into this, Rich, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay, so this is basically the inspiration for this came from the Wild Beer Company's guys and their red wine barrel aging. I tried that at the first Indie Man and went, that sounds like a good idea. Can I fake that a bit because I don't have red wine barrels? So it's basically an old ale recipe with the contents of a red wine kit thrown into it.
Wow.
To pretend to be the lees left in the bottom of a barrel and some oak barrel chips from a French wine barrel, basically. And then, just because I could, I stuck some Brett, which is a wild yeast, into it to sort of simulate like old British ales that got a little bit of wild yeast into them. So sort of stock old British ales. And then I sort of left it for a long time. It's one of the things I tend to do quite well with beers is just leave them for a year or two, especially the stronger ones, and all sorts of interesting, fun things can happen.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you've been brewing a bit longer than the other lads. How long have you been going for?
Well, the sort of first experience of brewing was my dad brewing in what was my nappy bucket, which strangely enough his friends didn't want to drink. But I took it up at university again to get people drunk, and then gave up again, and then took it up when my kids were born because I needed a hobby I could do inside the house while looking after children. So it's about 7 years ago now. Since then, I've done bits of beer judging, playing in competitions and things, and making all sorts of weird things. And my tendency is to make beers that you can't buy in shops, except the pro brewers keep upping me to higher, more complicated beers.
It's stunning. I've had a couple of sips and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, ladies and gentlemen, right now we've reached peak craft in terms of these homebrew specials. It's somebody's going to have to go pretty far to ever beat this. I think. I mean, it's everything that I really look for in a beer. It's got a lovely, deep, complex flavour about it. The aroma's spot on. There's almost a slight sour tinge to it, but that just works so well in balancing out the flavours. I am absolutely loving this beer. It's spot on for me, mate.
Cheers.
Yeah,
it is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I've just kicked off another brew of this. It'll be ready in another year, probably.
I don't think I can wait that long, to be honest with you. But
in a really nice way, it smells a bit like Stilton.
I bet it'd work. It would work amazing paired with some cheese. Stilton. Yeah.
I get a slightly ribenery, that sort of deep fruitiness. It's just so rich. But it's an incredible beer. Hats off to you, mate. That is a phenomenal beer. Really
incredible.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's coming from the bit of the wine in there. So yes,
Yeah.
merlot. You can get it's basically a great concentrate out of the wine kit. A reasonably good wine kit, not the cheapest ones you can buy, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then what did you just put that straight into the beer?
Yeah, I dumped that in just as it was starting to ferment, basically like you would a raw sugar.
What was tell me about the Edinburgh Ale yeast. That sounds really interesting. I've not heard of that one before.
It's one of the sort of Scottish ale yeasts. It's from White Labs, that one. It's liquid yeast, and it's in there just to give it a bit of that sort of malty sweetness. Get from some of the Scottish ales. You also 60, 90 shilling things. Just to go for the malty edge rather than some of the more hop accentuated English ones.
Using the two liquid yeast, did you make up 2 starters and then?
The Brett went in later, so the Edinburgh Ale did the first fermentation for a couple of weeks, and then it transferred into a bucket with the oak, and the Brett went in at that point.
Right, got you. Yeah.
And it's
How much oak did you use?
it wasn't very much. It was about 25, 50 grams, I think. I can't remember. I've got it in my notes, but it wasn't. It was about half a bag, basically.
And what's your batch size? Is it 50 litres?
20 odd litres. I think it was 21. This one.
21.
But the oak, you just leave it on the oak until you're happy with what it tastes like. Because then you can just take it straight off. I mean, some beers I've put the oak in a bag, and then you can just yank it out when you're happy with it.
The thing that's also gorgeous about this is it's held the head on it as well.
Yeah, all the way down the glass.
So pretty.
What's with the name, mate? What's behind the name of it?
I have this whole Greek gods and goddesses thing on names because they're quite easy, and I cannot quite. I was trying to remember why I called this Tethys when I picked it. It's a Greek goddess of something of the sea, and there was some association with wine I'd found while messing around trying to find beer names. But yeah, and you get pretty pictures for Greek gods and things that you can put on the label.
Fantastic.
It's a very nice label as well.
Yeah, most of mine are all the same. They're the same template with a picture and different name and text on them, and they're just printed out. Yeah.
It's just such a good beer.
It is. I'm almost gutted that I'm drinking it now and haven't left it for another year or so. Because I just imagine it's just going to get better with age.
There's only a couple of bottles of this batch left. I'll see how many I can store for the next one without drinking them accidentally.
I've just put a stopper in mine because I'm going to kind of try and keep mine going over the next week or so. I'm dicking out. But...
If I was producing beer like this, mate, I'd be the same. I'd be wanting to just drink it all myself and not share it with anyone.
So I've lost my words.
It's the beer.
It's the beer.
This is normal for a homebrew show. Mark gets the beer through and he's useless.
That beer is so good.
Yeah.
I have to say thanks, guys, for sending these beers through because it's just amazing. Like Steve was saying, you've set the bar. Peak craft maker.
It's interesting because you've got a complete spectrum, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got a pretty simple beer on one side, and you've got a massively complicated lot of flavours going on, but works beautifully on one end, and a gorgeous middly one in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's probably the first time on a homebrew special we've not had an IPA or a stout in the lineup either, which has been really exciting for me because I've tried beers here tonight, and again it comes back to you know what you guys are doing at home. It's just simply fantastic because who would have thought that when we first started the Beer O'Clock Show we'd be drinking a salted pineapple wit that's been produced in somebody's backyard
mixed with a Tethys Oat Merlot Old Ale.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's just, I mean, as Mark says, hats off to you guys. What you do here, it amazes me, and the quality of these beers is just absolutely bang on. Well done, guys.
Yeah, I think any three of these beers are worthy of being served across a bar, in my opinion. Well done, good boys.
Could I do a plug, if I
Yes.
may? Yeah.
Plug away.
You know, Steve from Homebrew, who you had on, and he suggested that I come on the show. I forget you had him on there a few episodes back. He's doing another Homebrew festival at the end of August, 22nd of August, at the Wharf Chambers in Leeds. And I just wanted to plug that again, if that's all right. But we're talking about blending. I've had a little bit of an idea. Just wanted to run it past you two guys. It's the fact I'm going to brew a really boring blonde beer, and then have 3 hop teas, and you can blend your own beer with your 3 hop teas. And I'm going to call it Hopper Tea. And, that's really clever. And just sort of the reason I'm going to do it is because you can do that at a Homebrew Festival. I don't see that happening at the Great British Beer Festival or any else, to be honest with you. So yeah. If you're around
like that.
Sorry, what was that?
I can see it. Someone like Indie Man, they can certainly do hop teas there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But
I think maybe Indie Man are a year away from doing a homebrew festival in one of the little rooms. I really think they are.
Yeah, excellent.
We're working on it. That's Northerners.
Yeah. If there's going to be any festival that does it first, it will be them.
Absolutely.
What we'll do is we'll put if I can find some information online, we'll put a link to the Homebrew Festival in the show notes, so people can click through to it and find out a little bit more about it.
Fab, brilliant.
Okay, Steve, do Instagram of the week, mate.
Of course, hot competition this week. Everybody's really up in their game.
Did you say hop competition?
Hot competition.
Okay.
Hot
I was gonna
competition.
call
I might
you
have
on
said
that.
hop. I might have said hop competition.
I think you
Sounded
did.
Which is actually
Tethys.
probably better than a hot competition. Anyway, everybody's up their game this week. Somebody introduced a new hashtag. This is the most impossible thing to win anymore. And it is. There's been a lot of really good ones this week, and I was really torn between 2 or 3 again tonight. But I've gone for another first-time winner. This is at Eric Likes Beer, who produced a picture of a bottle of Doug's Blackcurrant Saison in a glass on what looks like a harbour with the sun setting. It's a beautiful picture. It's on our Instagram account. It's linked through in the show notes. If you want to enter your own picture into this prize competition, which this is for the biggest box of nothing you're ever going to receive in the post, you've only got 1 more week to do it for this season. So get your beers out, get your cameras out, and get your pictures up on Instagram. Use the hashtag cheers, guys.
Very good. You can get your beers from Ales by Mail, Beautiful Beers, Bottle and Bean, and eBreer, who all now offer a 10% discount to Beer O'Clock Show listeners. Just check out all the details on our Season 7 Beer List page on the website. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter so you can be alerted, if you don't use iTunes and all that shit, whenever a new episode is out. Our guests tonight have been Oli Watts, Ben Vickers, Rich Caller. Oli, how can we find you on Twitter or whereabouts?
I'm on Twitter at Watts Brew.
Okay. Ben, where can we find you, mate?
At Hoptomaniac.
Amazing. And Rich, I think yours is a little predictable. Where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm not original. I use my own name at Caller.
Right. Great. You can
They're all linked through in the show notes as well.
Indeed. You can find us on... Well, actually, Steve, what's coming up next week?
Oh, okay. I thought you was going to get me to do the you can find us on. I panicked then. I'm in a cold sweat now because I don't know. What's coming next week? Well, in a slight change to the advertised program, we were hoping to finish season 7, our Six Nations of Beer. We were planning to finish the season with the this year's incarnation of Brewdog's Mash Tag. Unfortunately, the beer isn't ready for us to feature. Brewdog have been fantastic in working with us and saying, look guys, it's just not going to be ready. We can send you something else to do instead. What they've sent us to do instead is one of their abstract beers. So we next week will be featuring AB18, which is an Imperial Brown Ale, and it doesn't stop there. That's been rested on Scottish Taberries and Purple Raspberries. Doesn't stop there. It's been in rum barrels for 2 years, and it still doesn't stop there. And then it's been blended with a fresh hoppy black ale to produce an Imperial Brown Ale to die for. So we will be finishing season 7 on an absolute high with Brewdog's AB18 next week.
Very good. Now back to, you can find us on Twitter at Beer O'Clock Show. You can find us on Instagram at Beer O'Clock Show. On Untapped at Beer O'Clock Show Steve. I'm on Untapped at Beer Show Mark, and on Twitter at Beer Show Mark. Oli, Ben, Rich, thank you very much. These have been
Thank you.
absolutely amazing beers.
Cheers, guys.
Stunning beers. I'm feeling the effects of them, so I'm going to go to bed very shortly. Until next week, Stevie.
It's been the highlight of my week.
And mine. Bye-bye.